What is going on, Laker fans? Appreciate you guys tuning in on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope you guys are having a good day. Hope you guys are having a good week. Had a couple topics that I wanted to get into today. A lot of it actually, pretty much all the content's coming from D'Angelo Russell sitting down with Pat Bev on his podcast, which is on Barstool Sports. I'm going to put a link to the bottom of it. You'll have the full thing here on YouTube. But a few comments that I took from it that I want to spend a little time on. Talks about how the sky is the limit for the Lakers, just a lot of confidence about what the team looks like. Gets into kind of an exchange with Pat Bev, more on Pat Bev is complimenting D'Angelo Russell's game and D'Lo saying, what more do I have to do? I got a lot of thoughts on that, and I think a lot of Laker fans, there is more D'Angelo Russell could have done for the Los Angeles Lakers, so we'll spend some time on that. D'Lo also gets into the difference of playing with LeBron versus playing with Kobe. He obviously played with Kobe in his final year. He's getting a chance now to play with LeBron. And then the best player in the league, D'Angelo Russell, has a clear number one. So, again, really good podcast, and I want to react to it. That's what we're going to do right here. Let me start off first by just there's one thing that came from D'Angelo Russell that I do want to start off with about him talking about the sky is the limit for this new Lakers roster. Before I do, just a quick reminder. If this is the first time you've ever been on the channel, thank you for being here. If you're on the channel frequently, thank you for coming back. Put up a lot of Laker content. Going to start putting up more NBA content as well. I just asked one thing to support the channel. Please subscribe to the channel if you don't mind. Sky is the limit, D'Angelo Russell says on the Lakers. I'm going to read off a quote here of what D'Lo said talking about this Lakers team with Pat Bev. We all obviously know what the Lakers did in the offseason. We know what they accomplished this past year. Since the trade deadline, they were one of the best teams, got into the playoffs. They were a team that took out the Memphis Grizzlies, handled the defending champs and the Golden State Warriors, and then ran into a Denver Nuggets team that just simply put is by far the best team in the NBA, definitely better than the Los Angeles Lakers. But Lakers got to the Western Conference Finals. I think a lot of people felt good about that. Take a listen to here of what, or I'm going to actually read the quote, what D'Angelo Russell was saying about this upcoming season. He said, I have no idea. We got a lot of bodies. Basically talking about the makeup of the team. So trying to give the team what it needs every night to win, I think that's got to be our focus. He's talking about this upcoming season and how a lot of these guys should approach it and probably will approach it. Whatever or however it gets done, if everybody's locked into just giving the team what it needs that night might be scoring. That night might be 8 assists. That night might be all passing because they ran off of you and you made the one more pass to get Austin Reeves in the corner. He's hitting that shot. It's got to be the right play, night in, night out, mentality type of energy for our group because anybody can do it. He can throw any 5 out there and get it done, but we're all committed to that. I think the sky is the limit for this group, honestly. Basically, what D'Angelo Russell is saying is they got a team. Pat Beverly went on in the podcast to basically talk about how you can't really focus on one player, that if a team is trying to stop LeBron or Anthony Davis, now you got to deal with D'Lo. Now you got to deal with Austin Reeves. Now you got to deal with Rui. Gabe Vincent's a nice addition. So I actually really like the quote from D'Angelo Russell. And I don't see D'Lo as a selfish player. His game is not selfish. D'Lo, I think, has the ability, and I think he's got no problem being a facilitator. I think it's times where you need him to be more aggressive. I don't know if that's comfortable for his game or not. I would think he's a facilitator first. But basically when he says the sky is the limit for this group, what is he saying? He is just basically talking about how this Lakers team has incredible opportunity and they got a ton of weapons. So that was one thing that I took away. The main thing, and maybe fair or unfair, I've been a critic of D'Angelo Russell. I've been a critic for a long time. I was a critic when the Lakers drafted him, and I've been a critic since then. And I watched D'Angelo Russell even when he came back to the Lakers and he got traded at the trade deadline. There was always a little bit of, all right, let's see what D'Angelo Russell is going to do. I think for me with D'Lo, I think there's certain players that have the makeup and the DNA of winning. D'Lo does not give me that vibe. Now, this is just me. This is my opinion. A lot of people can disagree with that, and that's okay. I hesitate, and I said this before. I said it, when we're in the middle of the playoffs and I was doing the pregame and the postgame show. I would say that if there's 2 minutes left in the game and it's tied at 105, do you want D'Angelo Russell in the final 2 minutes of the game? At least on this Lakers roster, I did not, and Darvin Ham didn't either, because there was a lot of games where he was choosing Austin Reeves, Dennis Schroeder, Rui Hachimura, LeBron, and AD. And I'm talking about big-time moments in the playoffs. I'm not talking about the 82-game grind. I want you to take a quick listen here, because this is an interesting piece for me. This is a piece where D'Angelo, it's Patrick Beverley talking about how D'Angelo Russell played last year, and D'Lo kind of hopping in and saying, what more do you want me to do? So take a quick listen to this. I'm going to share this so we could get the audio. Take a listen.
You don't really see him in the summertime, all that. But in the season, like, this might have been the best year D'Lo ever had, like, shooting-wise.
And they ain't talking about it, bro.
And no one's talking about it. Like,
fuck, I gotta do, Pat. Y'all want me to play point guard? I play point. Y'all want me to play shoot guard? What y'all want from me, man? Like, I do 30 for 3, 40 for 3. What y'all want?
Listen, it might be
the
one
last
of
2 minutes too.
He can do that.
The man was shooting like 48% from the 3-point line at one point, like halfway through the season. Some wild shit. Like,
I'm just gonna stay humble.
Head down, keep grinding. Fuck it, just get more text. Just get more text then. Get more text. You get it that way.
Yeah, I feel like you're never getting text, bro.
Yeah, just get more text. You get more text, yeah, you go, motherfucker, damn, what's up with D'Lo? Yeah, that's what's up with me, motherfucker. I'm on that.
All right, that's D'Angelo Russell with Pat Bev. I think Roan is the other guy that he does it with on the podcast Barstool Sports. But man, I got some thoughts on this. You know, I go back. There's a quote. I want to play one more piece of this because I want to repeat what I played. Take a listen.
Like shooting wise,
and they ain't talking about it, bro.
And no one's talking about it. Like,
fuck, I gotta do, Pat. Y'all want me to play point guard? I play point. Y'all want me to play shoot guard? What y'all want from me, man?
I'm gonna pause it right there, and I'll tell you why. I'll pause it right there. Listen, I think I can help here of what people want D'Angelo Russell, what they want from him in a Los Angeles Laker jersey. There's certain things you can get away with for certain franchises. If you're the Minnesota Timberwolves and you make the playoffs and it didn't just work out, it's all good. It's the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they don't have a history over there to where they're making the playoffs every single year. There isn't expectations that are unrealistic like they are with the Los Angeles Lakers. You go 2, 3, 4, 5 years without winning a championship, and a Laker fan base, not just a Laker fan base, the front office is like, well, what the hell is going on here? Why has it been 3, 4, 5 years that we haven't competed or won a championship? When D'Lo says, what the F you want me to do, I can help out with that. The regular season is one thing, but a lot of Laker fans and the front office is looking at you come postseason in big-time moments, and they want to see how you're performing in those big-time moments. That actually is the most important thing that Laker fans are looking at. I'll give you an example. I thought Rui Hachimura, when he came to the Lakers, played maybe 30 games, something like that in the regular season. I thought he was okay. I thought he was all right. You know, nothing crazy. Looked like he was trying to get comfortable. But then the playoffs started, and Rui Hachimura all of a sudden became a different player. Rui all of a sudden became a player where you're like, okay, this guy, you got to make sure that you're carving out a good amount of minutes for him. He's hustling on the defensive side. His shooting percentage was ridiculous on the offensive side. Now he's starting to hit his threes. He's getting comfortable getting to the basket, trying to get to the free throw line. Rui took his game to another level when the lights were shining as bright as they could. Rui actually took his game to another level, to simplify it, right? Austin Reeves is another example, a role player that you felt like, damn, the moment gets bigger and that player gets better. D'Angelo Russell in the playoffs, I was doing my radio show earlier today, and when we're doing the radio show, there's kind of some argument back and forth, me and Andy Kamenitsky, and part of the argument was Andy was trying to say that the first 2 rounds for D'Angelo Russell, he was fine. He was actually playing well. And I was like, all right, well, maybe you say he's playing. I don't want to blow it out of proportion like he was a really, really key player in those first 2 rounds. Maybe you can make a case. He did have the closing game against the Memphis Grizzlies. I thought he had moments. I didn't think he had consistent play. I thought he had moments. But when D'Lo says, what do you want me to do? What I think hurts D'Angelo Russell in this argument is he was so bad in the Western Conference Finals. When you couldn't get any larger than a moment, D'Angelo Russell was as small as you can get. I think that's the part that D'Angelo is failing to take into consideration. You can make it happen in the regular season. Awesome. I hope D'Angelo Russell kills it in the regular season. We need him for 82 games to grind it out to try to keep some of these older players fresh and ready for the playoffs. But come playoff time, this is a different conversation. Come playoff time, whatever you did in the regular season, it's kind of like, all right, cool, been there, done that. What are you going to do in the postseason? The Lakers needed him against the Denver Nuggets. The Lakers needed his offense. They needed him to facilitate. They needed him to be a threat. They needed him to hit jumpers. D'Lo did nothing in the Western Conference Finals. I think he's got to be careful when he says, what more do you want me to do? I think D'Angelo Russell's got to be careful when, you know, you're paying attention to, if you're looking really, really closely, if he feels like he's getting disrespected by the fan base, or he feels like, man, I'm not getting enough credit. What more do you guys need from me? D'Lo, it doesn't matter that in the regular season, that 18 and 6 that you were putting out there, shot 40% from the field or 40% from 3. That's all great and dandy, but against the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals, Darvin Ham literally could not play D'Angelo Russell because of how bad he was. And I'll go back to this in the first 2 rounds. I thought he had moments. I didn't think he was great. I think there was a lot of times that you were making an argument, no, put Dennis Schroeder in the game. No, try to go a little bit bigger and make sure Austin Reeves is there and, figure it out from a size perspective. But there were plenty of moments in the playoffs that, and I'm talking again, I'm going to go back to the Denver Nuggets series where you couldn't play D'Angelo Russell. Bruce Brown, in a post-game interview, basically said right out the gate was, well, yeah, we're going right at D'Lo. He was a liability on defense, and he was not contributing anything on the offensive side. When you ask, what more do you want from me? We want you not to be a liability at the biggest stage of the season, the most critical stage of the season. So that's how I looked at it. We spent a little time on the radio show talking about this today as well. Laker fans, maybe you could help me with this. Am I too critical on D'Angelo Russell? Do I give D'Lo, do I not give him enough credit? Or do you lean with me on this that D'Angelo Russell, there's plenty more that you can do? And what I'm talking about when I say plenty more you can do, I'm referring to it more specifically in the playoffs, in the biggest moments. Now, I think D'Angelo hurt himself in the offseason or hurt himself in the playoffs. He ended up a 2-year deal, $36 million with the Lakers. Now, he's got the player option for next year, but I think the Lakers definitely had some hesitation of giving him a long-term deal. So that's my thoughts on that. If you have thoughts on that topic specifically, please feel free to put it on the comments below. Okay, a couple other topics that I want to get into here real quick. D'Angelo Russell explains the difference between playing with Kobe and LeBron James. I'm going to read off a quote here. I thought it was interesting. Again, this podcast, anytime it's a podcast forum, I love it because guys have an opportunity. I'm sure he's got a good relationship too with Patrick Beverley, so he can open up a little bit, maybe have more comfortable conversations that he wouldn't have with a random person from a network or whatever the case is. They went into a lot of topics, so I'm not trying to reflect anything on D'Angelo Russell positively, negatively. I'm just kind of giving my opinion on a few different topics. As far as this one, I want to read this. This is D'Lo on the Pat Bev podcast. He says, I'll just go from an aura perspective, and Kobe was on his way out, but LeBron is more involved with everybody and everything. On the bus, he's social. On the plane, he's social. He's just more sociable. When I was with Kobe, I sat next to him on the plane in one of the back seats. I sat next to him every time and just watched and studied him, and he never talked. He was really just to himself, and at that time, he was writing the book and the movie and directing and doing all this stuff, so he was locked in. But with Kobe, I've never seen anything like that. When he walked around, you know how everyone's talking and someone enters a room and everyone goes quiet. He had that about him wherever he went. It was almost weird for him, but he embraced it. And that's really the only difference. On the floor, he was on his way out, so he didn't really have the youthfulness to him where he was bouncy. He just wasn't going to get it. Bron had a different motivation. He's still writing his story, went on, said a couple more things. Everybody always said I was lucky I got Kobe on my way out versus when he was still through the grind because he was nasty and competitive. LeBron James and Kobe Bryant couldn't be two different personalities. They're two great players that want to win more than anybody else, but how they get there is completely, completely different. So I thought the story was fascinating, right? Talking about, D'Angelo Russell got to play with Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. It's pretty amazing. And what is D'Lo? 26, 27 years old. So he's getting, he got Kobe in his rookie year, and now he's getting Bron kind of walking into his prime. That's a pretty damn cool story. And he goes on to just kind of talk about what the differences were. Nothing too surprising here. Kobe did have that more killer instinct, killer personality. Like he said, towards the end of his career, there really wasn't much to play for. He knew he was on his way out. Bron's style, completely different. Completely different. Bron, I've always said kind of maybe more of a Magic type of style, and Kobe is more of a Michael Jordan type of style. So the style is completely different. Last topic I want to get into here was it's not too big of a shock here, but I respect it. D'Angelo Russell was talking about the best player in the NBA, and this is what he said. It's not about the Denver Nuggets, actually. He said, yeah, they got the best player in basketball. They got the best player in basketball on that team. No disrespect to nobody. He's the best player in the NBA right now, and it's not even close. I think I told you guys that there was a ranking that the Ringer had, and it ranked all the players top. I don't know what they did, top 100, 125, whatever they did. Jokic was number one. I think might have been doing this on the podcast yesterday. Jokic was number one. And I said, yeah, no argument here. He is the best player in the world. I just love when the NBA players are giving their love towards other guys. D'Lo got to see Jokic in action, and he got to see him obviously in the Western Conference Finals. And the fact that he's like, yeah, this ain't even close. He's the best player in the game. He said one other quote. I said this like 2 years ago. How do you guard him? How do you guard somebody that doesn't even want the ball? I ain't going to say he don't want the ball, but he doesn't care to have the ball. Jokic against the Lakers, 28 points a game, 14 and a half rebounds, 11, almost 12 assists a game, ended up getting the finals MVP. Just incredible. So again, kind of getting that perspective from another player, I always respect. I always like to see because it's authentic, it's true, and they have no other reason than to give love to a player because of his performance and because of what he does. And Jokic is such a different type of player in the league. It's not really like, to be as slow as he is, to be as non-athletic as he is, to be the best passing player, the best facilitator in the NBA, the best passing player. And it's not even just he's the best passing big man. No, he's the best. He dishes out the best dimes that I've watched in the NBA of any of these players. And some of these guys are true point guards. It's pretty, obviously incredible to watch. I encourage you guys, like I mentioned, the podcast that D'Angelo, these were just a few topics that I took out of it that I liked. Like I said, sky is the limit for the Lakers. D'Lo says, I really, really disagree with him when he says, what more do I have to do? There's a lot more that he can do, and I'm talking about on the biggest stage in the playoffs. So I thought that little piece was interesting. The playing with LeBron and Kobe, kind of the differences there, and then best player in the league, Nikola Jokic. That's all I got on today's episode, so I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. If you guys can please do me a favor, as I always try to remind, subscribe to the channel, Really, really helps the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it as well. So Laker fans, NBA fans, thank you for taking the time, watching the show today. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and we'll get back with you guys soon. Thanks, Laker fans.